Marina Abramović draws strength from nature and ancient cultures. Her quest turned into a personal investigation of physical limits and mental potential as she attempts to gain control of her body and mind to actually transcend matter through her performances and other works of art.
My view of the world is the view of an artist's view of the world. And how I see the world now is, I'm so busy actually, not so much about this century, but about 21st century, more even than this one we're living in. But I really believe that the future, this 21st century, will be a world without really art in the kind of sense we're having it now. There will be the world without objects, where the human being can be on such a high level of the consciousness and kind of strong mental state that they can transmit the thoughts and the energy to the other people just without actually having objects in between. So there will not be sculptures and no paintings, no installations. There will be just the artists who stand in the front of the public, and the public who is developed enough to can receive such a message and such energy. And they just sit or stand like the samurais in old Japan, look each other and they transmit their energy. I really think there was a lack of contact between artists and scientists, and I think that this contact should be reestablished. And also some scientists, I mean, when the scientists really, when they come to the discovery, they never come to discovery in an ordinary way, like, mathematical formulas, and you sit in the studio or in your scientist laboratory and you come to the great discovery. Always come in the same way as artists create the piece. And this is a very interesting touching point. Come from another state of mind, again, not from that, how you call the rational state. And there is where we could have the dialogue. When things come from subconscious, from we call inspiration, artists call very old-fashioned word, but it exists, inspiration. And there is the field where artists can talk with the scientists on that level. This is the only one is Nikola Tesla, who was busy about magnetic fields, who was busy about anti-gravitation, who was busy about energy fields. I mean, and he had incredible visions that every object and every human being and every plant and anything on this planet have his own wavelengths of frequencies. And so there is he talked about idea of parallel worlds. That actually in this world we live in many, many parallel worlds, but we only can communicate with our own world with the objects who are with the same wavelengths. And if it's not same wavelengths, we actually everything else is invisible. So when we talk about spirituality, the people talk about this invisible world. Well, we don't have the proof because it's not physical, but exists. But now scientists are discovering that this actually invisible world exists. There are hundreds of parallel worlds. And I'm fascinated by the idea of being in this space, and just by changing my wavelength, I disappear from in the front of your eyes, and I reappear in the same room, but with in another order, with another setup. I mean, this is could be incredible to work with the scientists and artists together and make such things possible. But I think this is the time that we should really put forces together, and there is not a point anymore to is artist, scientist, biologist, or a spiritual leader. I think that we all have the same aim, but till now we didn't been how you call introduced to each other in a way, and that's why I think this meeting is extremely important.
Well, if I listen to you, I have the feeling that you believe that you can change the world.
I will not even start if I don't believe that. I can say about art is like breathing. You must breathe to live. As the Brancusi said once, and I always repeat this sentence because it's essential for my ideas about art, is that is not important what are you doing, what form what you're doing takes. It can be painting, installation, sculpture, performance, or whatever. You also sit in the bank and sign the checks. What is important is from which state of mind you are doing what you are doing. Somebody said, let's get back to nature, but how? So my theory is about two things. It's about cleaning the house inside and cleaning the house outside. Now, cleaning the house inside is, of course, our body. Once I was on the train sitting with the rabbi and the one very old man, we discussed some things, and this old man said, what you're doing? And he said, I'm for 40 years working in a crematorium, just burning the bodies. And we had very interesting conversation. In the end, he said me something that really, really struck me. He said, 40 years ago, to burn the human body in crematorium, you need 125 degrees. These days, you need 715 because of chemicals in our body who increase. I mean, this is a fact. So this is our house inside. So now, to come back to this less is more, what we need is to empty our house. That's what we need. The sad story here is that we cover our houses with the carpets, and we cover our streets with the concrete, and we use the telephone instead of telepathy. I mean, we completely, with all the progress, we exchange the computers for our possibility to our sensitivity. We don't use at all our intuition. We don't use at all our creativity. Even if we have free time, we will open television and just hypnotized by the programs. I was always amazed in America when there were people even sleep with the television. With the speaker continuously talk. The moment I was staying with some friends, and I would go very slowly and switch off. The moment I switch off, the person wake up. He could not sleep without anymore. I mean, there are these incredible problems that we are completely disconnected of the flow of nature. Now, I like to say one sentence who I always find so beautiful, is very simple, is not to do, is to be. But it's very simple, but the most difficult it is. And there is another beautiful word translated from Tibetan, I don't know the Tibetan, but in English is called suchness. And suchness is something that can be described as the emptiness, but the full emptiness. So there are all these moments how to get there. The one way of, when he said to light travel, let's go to desert. But why desert? Because I think the desert is the place where there's less thing happening. It's just you and your mind. In old days you say the Jesus, the Moses, the Muhammad, everybody went to desert like nobody, and they came back as a somebody. I mean, there must be something in this desert. Because the desert is the hardest place to go. This is the place when you are really confronted with yourself, nothing but yourself. And in the situation of 65 degrees Celsius, when it's extremely hot, when you can't move, if you make 3 steps, I mean, your heartbeat, you can't take this heat. The body temperature is lower than a temperature around you. So you are like pushing the hot wall all the time. With the hundreds of flies on my body who was sitting in my eyes, in my nose, in my mouth, because there was a little bit of liquid, they will never go away. For 4 months, I wanted to push away, I could not. I mean, that was so difficult. I remember the day I wake up in the desert and all flies are gone. And I remember the incredible happiness I experienced, but the experience of just being there. And that happiness was not caused by any event. It was just caused by my own existence. And I realized that actually I become one with nature, that I have a smell of nature, that I was a foreigner there all the time. That's why the flies was there. The moment my smell was the smell of the earth, I was not any more foreigner element. They just left away. I was the same as a rock, as a tree. And that experience was so profound and so strong that from that moment I really understood so many things. It was like kind of, the moment of purity, that everything was in its place, in complete tranquil situation. Desert is where you really confront with yourself, with your own mind. And this confrontation we try to avoid all the time. And one of the very important points is our fear to dying. We have enormous fear of dying. We always repress and put somewhere else, and we never confront. And the whole work I'm trying to do is, first of all, I like to put my ego out of my work, because ego is something that stands in the front and is obstacle. And I want to say, in all days when the artists write not name but just anonymous, it was the best thing they can do. When you finish with this ego and you really try to empty your mind, then you are ready to help the society to change. If you can imagine somebody of 22 years old in Yugoslavia get naked in front of 500 people outside and cut the communist star on his stomach with a razor plate, I mean, I think I create more shocks than I experience shocks. Experiencing the limits, physical and mental limits, where the human body and mind can go. The one amazing thing is that in our body, we have, in every cell, there is a certain amount of energy, what we never use. We only use this amount of energy in extremes, in a situation of complete stress, risk, accident. You know, then all these particles of energy come in one point and we do our last effort. But in normal situation, we don't. But these particles of this energy who are there, this is an incredible resource. And people who are busy with meditation and are busy with spiritual powers, they know very well how to use this. When I get introduced to some Sufi rituals, or I went to Tibetans or Aborigines, I saw that every of these cultures actually push their body so far physically in order to make this mental jump, to cut this idea of fear of death, of the fear of pain, of fear of this, all our body limits we live with, and we are so afraid as a Western society. The Chinese wall. You see, we know from our society the Chinese wall is built as a defense, you know, wall against the Genghis Khan and the wild tribes from, you know, from Mongolia, and protecting China inside. The wall was called the dragon, the life serpent. And the dragon head must lie in the water. So that's why they build the foundation into the water. So they start from the water. When you reach to the coast, there is the small, very old inscription where the written is, first pass on earth. And then you walk the wall, and it's all the mountains, and you cross half China, and the tail of the dragon on the end of the wall is in the Gobi Desert. And there is another piece of stone would say, heroic path to the sky. So the whole line is the mirror image of the Milky Way. And actually it's marriage, the dragon is the marriage between earth and sky. When I was staying with Aborigines, I would sit on the earth, and the man would come and say, no, 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 don't sit on this place is better. Here is bad energy and here is good energy. And he knew, and I don't. And it's not so long ago in the past, in early Christian churches, Greek Orthodox, the Catholic, some old Celtic monuments, they're all in Europe, they're built on a certain energy grids. And then the power of the earth could be used directly just by the being on that point. And these energy grids are shifting all the time. So we don't know where are the new energy grids. We just don't know. We must be so open and see the changes. I mean, I got in this room so much teachings just by observing different, how you call the situations and answer a question, the sessions. There is one thing, what I think that from Tibetans we can learn a lot. There is this wonderful Rinpoche who laugh all the time. Did you notice? So, is the amazing what you can learn from him is, I think this laughter is really good, is a technique, must be technique, because he talk about greed, he talk about desire, he talk about a lot of negative things, but then he laugh. The moment he laugh, the truth of this what he's saying, because you laugh with him, come on much deeper subconscious level in you. Then in the whole thing is sent in anger. He will be immediately obstacle to you. Because anger creates another anger, but the laughter creates this opening. The other thing with the Dalai Lama was fantastic. You know, he said amazing things. He's so simple. He said, when they asked him, but what are you going to do after this meeting? He said, I'm going to sleep. But this is essential. He's taking a rest. I mean, this is the good teachings. Also, Dalai Lama said once, well, I was very shocked at the time, but I understand now. He said, actually, you know, the Chinese invade Tibet. The Chinese are our enemies. we are very grateful to our enemies, because only from the enemy you can learn compassion. Like evolution, you know, everything is changing all the time, and our earth is changing, and we are changing, and we are all the time. Everything is to do with relationships. You know, take another relationship to our galaxy, another relationship to on a planet, another relationship, the man to man. I mean, so is I think the only thing what I wish really that the man should start be conscious about his mind and his possibility as a human being, and really use his body and use these possibilities. And he should start immediately, now. Tomorrow is too late, but really now. And then hopefully that we can die with that knowledge, because you know, whatever future is, everybody die on the end. And I'm really interested more about dying. This is my, not about the vision of the happy world, and not about this. Whatever world will be, I'm really believing that we disturb this earth very badly. And I think that this summer, you know, February, it's not normal. And I think that we will face very soon big catastrophes. Not nuclear, not humankind, but natural disasters. And I think we are not ready for natural disasters. I think that Western society, the idea of death is so removed